Today we're going to talk about transaction ZDPT. ZDPT is a transaction that's going to allow us to look at carton labels for a number of reasons. It really depends on what your role is inside the company. But basically, for every carton label that we generate and send to the floor, we write a record into SAP that will track the scanning activity per carton label. The transaction does a lot of other things. We're going to focus on the display records today. I'll talk a little bit about the other functions, but a lot of those are embedded in some of the processes. I would probably refer to the process documentation before using some of the other specific functions. So let's get started. So I've already brought up the ZDPT transaction in SAP. And you can see here I got a number of options up here. Yours may look a little bit different. We assign certain functions to certain roles. And if you're missing any of these functions and you think you should have them, you let me know. And we can get you the associated function. Everybody who has access to ZDPT will have the display records function, and that's used to display records and show what kind of activities against them. Some of the value there is to try to see if we have a question about how many cartons were made or what was scanned off the line versus scanned and receiving. It's a really helpful tool to look at specific orders and specific carton numbers. Dispatching labels is used to dispatch labels. There's some plants that like to track productivity down at the line level. This function allows us to take certain labels, allocate them to a line, and when they scan the confirmation activity against it, we can track the productivity at the line level. Select deletion status and remove deletion status just as they suggest. If we want to mark some labels for deletion because the order was canceled, we can do that. And what that would do is if someone tried to scan that label for use on the floor, it wouldn't allow them. It would tell them to contact their supervisor that the order or the label's been canceled. Confirming missing cartons is in our processes. If somebody from the warehouse scans a label for receipt and takes it to the warehouse and the confirmation scan is not completed, we automatically flag those as misconfirmed, and we have a function, this function within ZDPT that will post those for you, generally a scheduling function. Receiving missing cartons, mainly a warehouse function. I don't want to get into it today in this one, but basically it'll show cartons based on analytics that the system thinks is missed. So if we scan 10 cartons off a line for confirmation, and during the receipt process, the warehouse operator, the material handler, only scans 9, the system will recognize that the line scanned 10 and we scanned 9, it'll suggest it is missed. And we can process that, but that's something that I'll show you inside the warehouse function. So let's concentrate on the display function. When this comes up, we would select whatever function we felt is necessary. Then we have a selection criteria down here. There's a plethora of things here that you can look for specific labels at. Just to jump out at you, production order, obviously plant, label creation date, material number, scanned confirmation date would be the date that something was scanned off the line. And then in our warehouse data would be the GR dates, our receipt date, pick date would be the date that it's picked. Okay? So based on what you're trying to do, this is a utility that's probably used in several processes. So it's just hard to tell exactly what you're going to do, but I'm going to try to show you some of the main functions. So here I am inside the transaction, and what I'm going to do is, because I want to show you a number of activities against it, I'm just going to say, show me everything for plant 46. This is our production system. Everything that was created on this date. Okay, so the system's going to go out and say, here's all the labels that were printed on that day, and I can show the activity against it. Okay, so now these records that are updated with every scan, there's many fields here. I suggest you become familiar with what records and what data is recorded. But there's a lot of information here. I'm going to concentrate on some of the main stuff today. You'll see a number of layouts. The layout, the manipulation of the layout, all that stuff is the same based on the usage for the ALV grid format. What I'm going to do here is select our Carton Balancing. The Carton Balancing function would simply show you all the information related to confirmations and all the information related to goods receipts. So this current format is looking at the confirmation scan date and time in descending order. So it groups these things together based on last scan. So if I was to look at carton number 82 to 91, they all share the same confirmation date and time. So that's highlighted there. Our missing confirmations, if there was an X here, that would mean that we had a goods receipt before we had a confirmation. And then over here are putaways. So we have putaways that are processed, putaways that aren't processed. There's a two-step process there. They will scan the cartons for receipt, and the initial status will be not put away. When the pallet label that's generated during that process is scanned and put into a bin, that would be switched over to put away complete. So in these instances here, this grouping, it's been confirmed, it's been received, it has not been put away. Here, it's been confirmed, it's been received, and it's been put away. The other information you can see is that if we're learning to look at this stuff, the date and time was blank here, and this was blank because maybe they missed it. If we look, because generally speaking, these are probably put away in the same grouping, we could come here and we could see where it was put and by who. So that's another important part, because you'll know who's not processing things correctly. We also record who does the confirmations and who does the receipts, and that just also adds some ownership to the process. Down here you'll notice these labels confirmed, no goods receipt date and time. So these have been received, they're probably sitting out on the line right now. Work Center is one of the elements of the table, so you can see the Work Center. So you can go through this and see a lot of information on it. Specifically when we have balancing issues where production has scanned X amount of cartons and the receipt and put away folks had scanned another number, we can actually look at a specific order number and get down to the details of what is missing and what's not. We don't have to cycle count whole SKUs anymore. The last thing that I'll point out here is here's an order. It has no scanned information. So this is basically an order that hasn't been run at all yet. Hasn't been scanned. So hasn't been scanned, has been scanned and put away, has been scanned and not picked up yet, has been scanned by production, received, and not put away. So you can see every stage of the process is covered. So this is Transactions ZDPT. If you have any questions, again, feel free to contact support@pcf.com. Thanks.